so many people I think are struggling with with whatever it is, these breaking points in our lives where, we think there's never going to be an end to the journey, like the mental health journey that we're on because of these things that go on in our lives.
If you can take care of this soul that you're in charge of, that everyone else will be fine and everyone else will be taken care of as well.
I don't know how you define that, where that is, like where that line is, but I think it's different for everybody and for every scenario. Yeah. But there was finally the line where I was just like, I can't, buddy. I love you.
I am so worth protecting on a daily basis. And so, it's those little things like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Or those little things. I feel like self-love and self-grace and compassion is on a spectrum. So maybe over here I'm, destroying myself physically through maybe self-harm or even suicide, right? Would be that far of a spectrum over there. And on this side, it might be, gosh, you're such an idiot. You totally did this. Like how much that harms ourselves inside. And so it is my mission not only to take care of myself. And yes, the self-defense is so much fun. It's so great. And all the presentations are great. But at a core level, if you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, wow, you are so worth filling your cup this morning. That's how much I love you. And I'm going to fill that cup in the morning and I'm going to exercise or whatever I do. And it's going to be because you are the most important thing to me today. It's absolutely the most profound experience I've ever had. And none of us are perfect. We all look at our bodies and we all go, oh, you're so flawed, or I wish you looked like this, or I wish you had this career, I wish you did this. But to love in the space that you're in at this very moment is so cool when you can understand what that feels like. And I could never have that experience for anyone else. Like it was so personal, so for me, but it changed how I look at myself, that she is the number one person that I get to protect on a daily basis. And everything that I do now revolves around that self-grace and compassion and love and tenderness and forgiveness and all of those things that we tend to not give ourselves, but yet we're really good about giving someone else, right? Mm-hmm. So,
It takes away regret when you're happy with who you are and where you are at that moment.
Absolutely.
Right? Like absolutely. I always tell my kids, I wish I'd have done something different, or I wish I'd have done this. They are telling me this. And I tell them, are you happy with where you are right now? And in order for that to be the case, they have to be happy with themselves.
Yeah.
And if they're not happy with themselves, then it's difficult for them to be happy with where they are. And you've decided to be happy with yourself, which makes you happy with where your life is at that moment.
Yep.
And then it erases regret, because now you can look back at the path that you took to get to where you are, the happy place.
Yeah.
And be like, I wouldn't change anything, because all of those decisions brought me to this place.
Absolutely. So how can we can't look at our past and go, I wish I wouldn't have gone through that.
Yeah.
Because had I not, I wouldn't be where I am today.
That's right. You think about, like, you hear the navigating of a ship, 1 or 2 degrees off over 1,000 miles, you're hundreds of miles off from your destination. One little degree over 30 or 40 or 50 years would have changed your entire place where you would be at this moment.
Yep.
So I love the fact that, and you put a really, I've always talked about having no regret, and I hadn't really given a whole lot of thought to being happy where you are because you're happy with who you are, and those two things have to go together. Yeah. And I hadn't really given that a whole lot of thought. I'm happy with where I am in my life, right? But I always sort of thought about happiness outside. Like, I'm happy with my circumstances and I love where I am, but I hadn't really given a whole lot of thought to loving who I am.
Like, are you happy here?
Yeah, as part of that. That's a really insightful, hadn't really given that much thought. But it makes sense if you love who you are. It's easy to be happy where you are, right?
Absolutely.
Which erases regret and erases
Shame.
the shame of past.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that you don't seek to improve, right? Like constantly improving, but you're doing that for a different reason. You're doing that for love, for, we encourage our children to improve because we love them, not because we think they're horrible where they are. Like we want them to improve so that they can experience greater things in life and be happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's
Crazy.
That's a great perspective. I hadn't given, that's something new for me to chew on. Because you're right, like it's difficult to love ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's the hardest person in the whole world to love.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
And I find myself a lot of times, in fact, a lot of people here will be like, you got to talk nicer to yourself. Of course, a lot of it's just self-deprecating humor, but there's always a twinge of truth to the things that you say, whether it's
For
funny or not,
sure.
So
I'm just joking.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
you were serious.
yeah, right.
Deep down you were totally serious.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I gotta, I need to work on that. And I try, that's why I like talking with people that have so many different perspectives, because for me, mental health is always a big thing. It's a struggle every day, right?
Yeah.
But now I have a little more to think about that could help with that, because if you love yourself, then your mental health is already just sort of like a step up from where it was.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That just like takes care of a chunk of that problem.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
It's fun stuff. And
Yeah.
you know what's crazy? We actually had a CE class in our office yesterday, and one of my agents, I think he'll be okay if I use his name. Do you know LaSalle Turner?
I know the name. I don't know.
He has my heart. And he's an older gentleman, and he always has matching shoes and a matching hat and a very nice sweater. He's always matching. He's just put together all the time. And he made a comment in the CE class, and he said, every morning I wake up in the morning and I look myself in the mirror and I go, you're my best friend and I will take care of you. And I was like, of course we're all like, try not to cry, because it was so inspiring to have this sweet older gentleman say, every morning I look myself in the mirror and go, you are my best friend. So cool.
That is cool, because I look in the mirror and go, ah.
What you doing? What happened to you?
When did you start looking like that?
Oh, I know. But like, oh my gosh. It's so like, even if we're joking, right? Like, you and I can laugh about this now because it's kind of true sometimes. I do look and I'm like, what happened to your hair? 3 years ago, you had dark hair. This is what real estate does to you, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah?
You've seen the picture where it's like, a really elderly woman who 5 years was like this beautiful supermodel.
Yep.
That's how it is for all of us.
It's true.
Yeah. My beard wasn't gray when I started.
Nope. I was like 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my hair was not gray, but it's fine.
It's okay.
I know. Oh.
So I kind of hear some breaking points in there. Like you had that's an epiphany. That's a breaking point that just shifted your entire life. But also, you talked about, an awful experience that sort of was a breaking point from being a youthful, normal. When I say normal, I mean, unaffected teenager, right?
Yep.
To suddenly, through no fault of your own, and this is the thing, like your self-love was tanked
100%.
at that moment. So it went from like, however, 20, 30 years of learning to love yourself again because somebody took that away from you at one point.
It was stolen.
Yeah. And the hardest part for me, and I have daughters that have endured some of these things. And I don't know what happened to you, and I don't know how open you are about it. It doesn't really matter.
It's another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really matter, but it was a breaking point that defined the next couple of decades of your life, right?
Will define the rest of my life as well.
Right. The next breaking point was 2 years ago. And you guys, so many people I think are struggling with with whatever it is, these breaking points in our lives where, we think there's never going to be an end to the journey, like the mental health journey that we're on because of these things that go on in our lives. Emily's a perfect example, though, of the fact that it could go on for 20 or 30 years, and then at something, the struggles, the difficulty, the ups and the downs and the pains and the pleasure and the challenges and the triumphs, they come to a point where there's a breaking point again, where you can say, I've healed. Right? Do I still have to do work? Yes, of course.
Right.
Mental health is a journey with no destination, right?
Yeah.
But you've figured out like the piece of it that can erase the regrets and the shame and the things, the ups and the downs, and and to me that's what it's all about, right? You're still on your journey.
Yeah.
You haven't like hit the finish line yet because it's those things are still with us.
For sure.
All the things, oh my gosh, the stupid things that I've done, the horrible things that I've done and the things that have happened to me as a result, those are still there. And do I still feel a little bit of embarrassment or shame? Yeah. And I still have to talk to myself nicely because of them. Mm-hmm. But I don't regret them anymore. Yeah. Do you know? Like, I don't look back and say, I wish I would have done something different.
Yeah, good. I love that.
Because I literally love where I am. Do I love myself as much as I should? Probably not.
None of us probably do.
But I love where I am.
That's so amazing.
It brought us to this chair right now, having this amazing conversation.
Yeah.
One little shift in what I did. One little time that I did something not so stupid maybe would have changed where I am sitting right now. You know what I mean? And I'm happy with this. I'm happy with what we're doing right this moment. So I wouldn't change a thing.
Amen.
Even though I look back and think like, oh my gosh, you were an idiot. Yeah. You, on the other hand, though, I think it's a little bit different set of circumstances because for me, I started drinking because I didn't know how to feel normal inside. It was something I was kind of like born with, I think, I was just scared. And when I was drunk, I didn't feel scared anymore. I felt like I could be normal and feel like myself. Even though it wasn't, that just was my perception. You, on the other hand, got sort of like your path got changed.
It's a little bit railroaded.
Differently.
A little bit.
Yeah. It was like you're heading this way and then you got T-boned and suddenly you're heading that way. And that's just, you had no choice about that, And so different set of circumstances for you, different battles to fight, right? Yeah. Are you okay to talk about some of the things that as you created space between that moment and the rest of your life as things went on, some of the things that you were struggling with?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that really quick, just like all shame is going right out that door, because I think that so oftentimes, especially when we grow up in a religious household, for some reason, and I know it's not meant to be like this, but I really think that we feel so much shame when we do anything that goes contrary to what the center of the belief center is in the home, right? Mm-hmm. As a youth. And so I had a very violent rape when I was 18 years old. Mm. And, I was up at college and because of that, I went off the rails and I did everything bad that you're not supposed to do, right? In your family, in your church, in your beliefs, and those kind of things. And I just didn't care. I just didn't care anymore. I was like, well, you're already messed up, so you might as well just do the whole thing. Like, just you're going to be miserable the rest of your life, so you might as well just be really miserable. And So I struggled a lot with self-harm, bodily self-harm. That was before we even started talking about it. Was in and out of hospitals, in and out of emergency rooms, and You know, when no one talked about it. My poor parents, that was their generation, was we don't talk about it. No one in the neighborhood knew. No one in our church knew because we just don't talk about it. And
That makes it so hard
it's so hard,
because you can't say what you're feeling
Oh my
because
gosh.
shh.
Right?
No, it's okay. We'll deal with it, but
Yes.
don't talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ugh, it's that makes me, that was just how it is. I was so angry all the time because I couldn't say anything that I was feeling.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyways,
Yes, no, I'm 100% with you.
yeah.
Well, I finally started getting some help, and I found an amazing psychiatrist, an amazing psychologist, and I was seeing her several times a week. And I was actually in the same building, I believe, that our Sugar House office is in.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Here
wow.
it was like 30 years ago, and I was there for my therapy appointment, and I saw my uncle, and he was like, what you doing here? Because his office was in the building, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know? You don't know why you're here? And I go, well, I have a doctor's appointment. And he goes, well, there's no doctors in here. And I had so much shame. We just kind of did this weird banter in this hallway. And he's like, well, have a great day. And I love you. And I was like, okay, see, I love you. And I was so horrified that someone would know that I was sick enough to need therapy. Because, you know, back in the 90s, you didn't talk about that at all.
Therapy was bad.
Oh,
It was like
so
so
bad.
stigmatized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas now, it's seriously like going to the gym.
Right?
We should stay tuned up in our mind as much as we stay tuned up in our body and everywhere else. Right? I think that's where it
Exactly.
all starts. So, yeah, I mean, now it's like a normal thing. But back
Just
then,
going to therapy.
yeah, back then it was taboo.
It totally was. It totally was.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm so grateful, like, your girls, that they have, you know, we have a different generation now, and our kids can talk to us about things that, you know, our parents' generation, no fault of their own, that was their generation. Bless their hearts. And my parents' generation, my grandparents, oh, heavens to Betsy, they would never, ever talk about those things at all either. So I'm really, really glad that, you know, unfortunately, we do have a pretty bad problem with mental health and how to talk about it. However, we're so much better. Like, our generation is so much better about talking to our kids about anxiety and depression, and, you know, like, that's what it's just a normal conversation now.
Yeah.
It's not full of shame and secrets and, you know, that kind of stuff anymore.
It would
Grateful.
first, you know, and the thing about like if we were at the pace, humans are not designed to go at the pace of this world. We're not designed for it. And if we were at this moment, it was still taboo to talk about the things that we're feeling. It would, I mean, this place, I feel like a bomb would go off. Like, there'd be no way for anybody to ever deal with simply just going out of their house every day, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, it's because the world comes at us so fast. That
so
if
much.
we didn't have, when we were kids, it was the 80s. You could go as fast as your bike could go.
Exactly.
You know, like, that was it. You weren't having 24-hour news. You didn't have the internet, nothing. I could go, if I was going down, you know, a hill on my dirt bike, you know, that was as fast as I was ever going to go.
Right.
As fast as the world was ever going to come at me, you know? And so I think, like, back then, even though there were mental health issues, it wasn't as prevalent as it is today, because we're just not designed to deal with how this world comes at us. You know what I mean?
Agree.
And so if we couldn't talk about it today, it would just be mass shootings every minute.
I agree.
People would just go crazy if they couldn't talk about how they're feeling in this world.
I agree.
You know?
That's what's so cool about what you're doing here, is you're providing a safe space for people to come and talk about it, so other people go, oh my gosh, like, I have permission now. Eric just gave me permission. Emily just gave me permission to now talk about these things that I have held inside of me for so long.
Yeah.
So amazing.
And that's what I want people to know, is that no matter where you are, and here's the other thing. One thing you said to me, and this is, I'm a devout religious person, but there are flaws in the religious in religious organization, especially in regards to like sexual behavior, right? So there was a time, and not just, I think in just organizational religion overall, that a woman, if she was sexually active, was damaged,
Yeah.
was not pure, wasn't like how she's supposed to be. And part of what happened to you, I think, you feel like you're damaged goods now.
Yep.
Like it changed who you are physically. Like you're not now appealing to the people that you should be appealing to
Yeah.
because that was taken from you, right? And that's a hard thing for, I think, especially in our generation, because women are amazing, amazing, amazing creatures. Honestly, like if men had to do the things that women had to do, like this whole world would just
It'd be bad.
stop, and just like everyone would just die. Like they would
Yes,
just
we just die.
it couldn't work, And so I always find I've always found it to be like such a almost hypocritical to say that because a woman does something with her body that she chooses to do or doesn't choose to do, that something happens, that somehow they should feel inferior or damaged because of that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
agree.
And that should never be the case because they don't make men feel that way,
No.
right?
Never have.
No, never have. And I'm the dad of 4 daughters, and I never want them to think that because they choose to do something, whether it's a mistake or it was not on purpose or whatever,
Yeah.
that they're now somehow different in the eyes of me or their creator or anything. They're still just as valuable. And all the things that we do, all the things, it doesn't matter how dark it is, doesn't matter where we are, what ER we're in, or what hospital we're in because we did something. Our soul is valuable. We are valuable, And so that always kind of bugged me that, I think, especially if you're a religious person, you believe that, that you can atone and you can do the things. But that one part always felt like you could atone, but you still kind of have this, you're still
scarred for life.
You're tarnished now, and I think that we're finally sort of starting to be able to talk about those things too.
I do too.
Right. And
Yeah.
take away some of the shame of doing those things that are natural human engagements,
Yeah.
whether you believe that it shouldn't happen before marriage or after, whatever the belief system is,
Right.
that you're not stigmatized or hurt. Like your body's not hurt because you are different or,
Yeah.
because that happened. And for you, getting that taken from you and then thinking, I'm worthless now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm assuming, but just knowing how I grew up, and I think we grew up a lot the same way, is that now you are not going to be who you should be for the person that you're going to marry or, all those things.
It's true. It's true. And you know what? One thing I do know, and yes, I love my religion. I love where I am at in that space. And I feel like I have a different perspective and a lot of grace for the humans that taught me in Sunday school and in church classes, because God trusts a bunch of really flawed humans to teach each other how to make it back to Him. And, it wasn't but a year before this experience happened that one of my young women leaders gave a lesson on chastity, and we were all chewing gum. She's like, everyone, here's a piece of bubble yum, and da da da. Okay, guess what? Now take your gum out and look at that. This is what you will be if you make a big mistake, like having sex before you get married. And I remember looking at that going, and she goes, now put these all in the garbage. And I know her heart was in the right place. I really do. But guess what? The first thing that I thought of at 3:00 in the morning when I was traipsing across campus because someone just attacked me. that was the first thing that I thought of, was like, oh man, like now I'm that chewed up piece of bubble gum that should be thrown away in the trash. And I know her heart was pure. I know her intent was good. And so I can't ever fault her for that at all. She's an amazing, beautiful human. But we get to be really careful about how we teach our children now, right? That we all have experiences, we all make mistakes, we all have situations that change us in one way or another. And I truly believe that now, with the perspective that I have, that I wasn't that chewed up piece of gum, you know? I was actually a beautiful, wonderful soul that now gets to heal from a horrific thing. So I really am grateful that we talk about these things more, and that we are more careful, and we're more careful because we have had conversations and experiences from flawed humans, like every single one of us are. Bless all of our hearts that we haven't spontaneously combusted because of how flawed every single one of us are. And we do things every day where we affect someone else's life.
Yeah.
And I think that when we have those experiences, we think a little bit deeper as to how this might come across to someone else in the future.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, we have to. I mean, first of all, it's all out there now.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
whatever we say, whatever we do, all the stuff, that's documented forever
For
through
sure.
the internet, right?
Yeah.
But also, I think like that impact. It's amazing to think like, however, years later, a couple of years, whatever it was, that was your first thought. Like, now I'm a chewed up piece of bubble gum. And
Yeah.
words really, even the most well-intended words, can have a harmful effect
Absolutely.
on somebody.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, it was well intended.
It really was.
That this reminds me of something. I always tell my kids that, because I think kids, they look at their parents as like they have it all together, and then they get upset if their parents do something that upsets them. But that's how
Yeah.
parenting is supposed to be. So that's just. But I always tell my kids, I'm an imperfect father. And I think this applies probably to how this woman did her thing. I tell them, but I'm more open with it. I tell them I'm an imperfect father. I'm going to say things that are wrong. I'm going to do things that are wrong. I'm going to parent you the wrong way at some point.
Yeah.
But you have to know that no matter what, at the moment that I was doing that, making a decision that maybe was wrong, it was because I thought it's what was best for you.
Yes. Yes.
And because I love you.
Yeah.
So give me the grace that I would give you, when I make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Because I'm gonna. And so if I say something that's wrong, they can tell me. Like if they say something that hurts their feelings or something, they can tell me, and they're not mad at me. You know what I mean? And I think as we engage more and more and more in this life with people, if we preface it and they can feel the fact that we love them, right? And that we're making decisions based upon their well-being and what's best and what we think is best, and but that they feel that we love them. And then there is more grace in the words that we say and the things that we do if they're well-intended. Should you have felt that way based on what she said? No, but would any human being feel that way? Yes.
Absolutely.
It's a double-edged sword. She was trying to do the right thing.
Yep.
In the end, and she gets grace for that
100%.
because she messed up, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it was very hurtful for you in that situation, and it changed the trajectory of your whole life.
Absolutely.
After that,
Yeah.
feeling that way,
Yeah.
But I think like if she could have said, if she looked back on that decision to say that, I can imagine that she would say that's a part where I messed up, but I
100%.
did it because I love you,
And I feared for your future.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The repercussions of what that might do to your future and the trajectory of your life. So I did this lesson because a lot of times we parent out of fear as well, right? Like we don't want them to suffer the way we did. So we're like, like you need to know this and you need to have this story. So who knows what her life was like.
Yeah.
Right?
And she probably was taught a lot of the same thing. In fact, she probably had that same lesson,
She probably did.
quite honestly.
Bless her heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and like you said, I love my belief system,
Me too.
but I think the belief system is pure. The execution is flawed,
We're
right?
human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
We're so messed up.
yeah. So, you can't really get upset with mistakes that are out there. And I think it's amazing that you're able to take that, like you have that perspective, because so many people that go through traumatic experiences it's difficult to find compassion. It's difficult once you've lost it. It's difficult to get that back, and it takes a lot of hard work and soul searching. So it's pretty incredible that you're able to pull yourself from the depths and be where you are now, because you can help people, and you do help people because of what you went through, and you learned how to channel that into something positive.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the other things that I hope anyone that's listening to this, hopefully there's more than 5 people that listen to this, right? There's so many more, Eric. I truly think that if someone can go, oh, like I struggled like that. And, oh, Eric's successful. He's got a loving wife and he's got 4 daughters and they're so happy, and he runs a successful business, and he's, so good at what he does. And, Emily, here's where she is in her life. She's done good things, and everything that she does is so that she can help others in addition to herself. And, like you can struggle so deeply in life and still come out okay, right? Like there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel for anyone that's struggling. It doesn't matter where on that journey you are, that you have the ability to choose something different. I choose happy. And life is freaking hard every single day. And there are days when I'm like, I just, I can't get up again. But like, man, like we show up and we do good things in the world. And every day I go, oh, I can look at myself in the mirror and know I did good things. And that's really awesome. And I know that just because you have struggled doesn't mean that you don't still, struggle with things like that's the beautiful thing, is that I think that sometimes we think, oh, like it's too late for me. Like no one's gonna, I'm really like, I'm past that. I'm past rehabilitation. I'm past healing. Like it's been too long. And we never are. Like we get to choose from this day on what our next days look like.
Yeah.
So
And if you can realize, like if people can just realize in that moment when they're at their darkest, and this is the thing that I try to tell everybody, that you are valuable no matter where you are in your journey,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
Like God, whatever it is that you you think, you're, whatever it is, whatever you look to, that for me, it's God. God doesn't look at me. He didn't look at me differently when I was at my worst. I was still valuable to him, and he still loved me. And my parents, bless their hearts, even though they probably were like, what is wrong with this guy, still loved me, and if at that moment, at the darkest time, that people can just hear these words, right? The whole reason I did this is so maybe one person could hear it and say, I'm okay right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm loved right now. I'm valuable right now. And it gives me another day,
Yeah.
or another hour or whatever it is, some reserve to continue going,
Like you're loved by something greater than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Such a powerful thing to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. You can't, honestly, like I don't know that I could do the days
Nope.
without knowing that and feeling that,
I agree.
And even for people that don't believe, there's always something bigger than ourselves.
100%.
Right? Even people that have different belief systems, I get it.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. But there's something that validates our value, whether it's the earth, whether it's the energy, whatever it is you feel, that would, like, you have value within whatever system that is. Otherwise, like, it wouldn't be a system. You're the one that brings the value to all of it, you know? So, for me, I think, like, and I have had people tell me, I listened to your podcast and you know what? I'm going to talk more about how I'm feeling. Someone came right up to me and said that. I'm like, to me, I could have just stopped right then and been happy, you know? So that's, and to hear your story, people are going to look at that because, first of all, sexual violence is so prevalent and so few people, there's still so much shame attached to that.
So much.
Even in a world where we try to be more open and less stigmatized, there's still so much shame and so few people talk about in fact, it's very rarely even reported.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
And so women are, like, dealing with these things, and hopefully they can hear your story and realize, I don't have to be that. I can be something stronger, and I can still love myself, and I'm worthy of love from other people.
I love that.
Right?
I love what you just said, that you're worthy of love. Every single one of us are, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I had to thank you. I know it's probably difficult to talk about these things, but it's inspirational to me.
Thank you.
To hear you just doing it, being a rock star in life, for not only for yourself, but for everybody else around you. I know what I see. Everyone around you knows what they see, but I'm really just so happy. And it's really got my mind thinking about, now what everybody else sees, and when you say to people, like, I wish you could see you through my eyes, you got to do that.
I know. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah. Because then you would know, like I tell my kids, I wish you could see you through my eyes, because then you would know how amazing you are. You got to do that. And that's amazing to me. It's incredible. And I think, like, if people could just feel that for themselves and know that they're valuable, it's inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I love it.
Thanks.
So I'm really thankful for you to be here.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah. So grateful we're friends. So grateful that you're doing this kind of work, because this is the work, right?
Yeah.
This is the work.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. You guys, if you're feeling like there's something that you're not able to handle, if you're in a dark place, always just know that, from two of us and anybody else that's been through it, there are people that you can reach out to. There are people that love you, and you are valuable in the eyes of God and the eyes of the people around you. Don't ever think that you're just too lost to ever come back, because you can. I promise. Breaking points happen. Good ones, bad ones. It's all a journey, right? There is no destination, but we're all on it together. So you don't have to do it by yourself. So thanks for listening to the Breaking Point podcast. We look forward to talking to you again.